Hey, welcome to another episode of the Mindset Monday podcast. I'm super excited for today's episode for a lot of reasons. One, because this is the first episode of the new year, and I am making a commitment to uploading and recording a podcast on a more regular basis, once every week to be exact. So I know in the past I've made attempts of doing this before, but sometimes the podcast wasn't always a priority, so I didn't always get it done. But that's one of the reasons why I'm excited. I'm also excited because I'm going to be sharing with you 12 high performance strategies and ideas that you can implement into your life to make this year extraordinary. And these are ideas and habits and strategies that I am focusing on this year too, which is why I want to share it with you because I'm on this journey with you. I'm out here living the dream, trying to grow, trying to get better, trying to perform at my highest levels, trying to make this year extraordinary. Like, we're coming into the new year hot this year. I don't know about you, but if you're coming into 2022 with this another new year and like all this BS, like we got a new year, new me. I don't really care about that stuff. I don't need motivation. I'm just going through the motions. Like, I don't know why you would not be motivated to reflect on your life and to reflect on this year and be like, let's get it. Let's crush 2022. Let's have an amazing year. Let's have a phenomenal year. Let's have an extraordinary year. Let's be extraordinary. So if you're listening to this and you're not pumped up, one, I hope my job is to get you pumped up. So hopefully you get pumped up. Two, change your attitude and your mindset right now. If you're with me and you're already pumped up, then let's just go right into it because there's nothing else to say. Um, Other than just a couple quick house notes on the podcast. So I'll be real quick here. It'll be like 60 seconds. Just for those that have been listening to me for a while. One of the things, like, you'll find this interesting. Last night, I tried recording this podcast, and I literally got in my own head for like 30 minutes, and I couldn't record it. Where like I was doing the intro and like that whole little spiel I just went on for the first like 60 seconds. I'll do that, and then I'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible. I got to start over." And then I would start over, and I would be in my own head, just judging myself, just being like, "Oh, I got to make this better," and this and that. And I hope, once again, like I said, these strategies I'm about to share with you in this training is like stuff I'm working on myself too. So I hope you find it really helpful. And if you can really, if you ever like overthink anything that you do where you have this perfectionist mindset, let's say you're a creator and you're creating content and you overthink it, or you overthink, like, I'm going to start a book one day, then it's been like 5 years and you still haven't started that book, or you still haven't like done the thing that you're trying to do, or like, I'm going to post more on social media, then you don't do it. Whatever the thing is for you, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to start that business, I'm going to work on my relationships, I'm going to work on my health. Whatever it is for you, I hope that you kind of let go of any kind of judgment that you have of yourself. And that is something that we'll talk about in this training. But I thought I'd just share that little insight with you where, when you haven't recorded a podcast in a while, and the first time you get after, I'm like, yo, okay, I'm excited for this episode. And then I get all in my head and I start messing up and I start rambling on like I'm doing right now. But one of the things I also want to commit to in 2022, especially with the podcast itself, is one takes. Just hop on the podcast. I do my prep work, so I'm prepared for the episode. I know what I want to talk about. I know the key points. I don't have like a script I'm following. I just have these 12 bullet points, 12 high performance strategies and ideas for making 2022 an extraordinary year. So I have it prepared. Like, I did my research, I've done my training on this and my reflections. I've gone through my own process. And all right, I'm ready to deliver and share some of my own insights with you to hopefully inspire you, to hopefully educate you and motivate you to live your best life. And I really think you'll find some of these powerful. So I hope you stay with me throughout this whole process. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. And yeah, I don't know. Let's just get right into it. That's one of my commitments, to like do these one takes, because I feel like sometimes I overthink the podcast. I'll do an entire episode, I'll listen to it, and I'll be like, that was stupid, that was terrible. And then I won't even upload it. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're never going to grow and get better that way. So that's one of my own weaknesses, that perfectionist mindset, which I want to eliminate and get that out of my life and just start putting out content. Because I'm about to share the first strategy with you in a moment, but like, I feel like I'll just kind of be vulnerable and like honest with my own little flaw here, where as a teacher, that's my career. You know what I mean? Like that's what I do for a living. But I'm not like a podcaster as a career. Like there's a difference. So the way that I teach in a classroom, the way that I work with kids, the way that I teach lessons and motivate them and work with them, it's completely different than the way you teach a podcast or the way that you would teach on a podcast. You know what I mean? So for myself, I have this like fear of, oh, people are going to think I'm a terrible teacher because my podcast isn't amazing. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that kind of like, oh, I can see why he would think that. Yeah. And that's one of the things that holds me back. Like, oh, I don't want to create an online course because what if my online course isn't good enough? What if my videos aren't good enough? What if I don't get the views? If I don't get the views, then it must mean I'm not good enough. And it's such a stupid limiting belief. So I guarantee you have some sort of limiting belief. Not saying that one in particular, but there's definitely something that's holding you back in some shape or form because we all have it. And if you have the awareness and you know what it is, implement some of these strategies and it will help you take action to overcome whatever that thing is that's holding you back. And you know what it is. If you have the awareness, you know what it is. So let's kind of work towards that this year. I'm all about doubling down on your strengths, but also work on your weaknesses and also overcome your fears, knowing that like we all kind of start from zero. Even though I've been podcasting for a while, I've never really like studied the art of podcasting. I kind of just hop on here and kind of just talk. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to share this stuff with you. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you find it valuable and helpful. So, and it's kind of in a flow too. I didn't purposely plan that, but it kind of works out 1 through 12. It's almost like a flow chart in a way. So number one is to decide to make this year extraordinary. It may sound like common sense and that may not be like that impactful, but if you really sit with it for a moment, are you actually going to make a decision and a commitment to yourself to make this the best year of your life, to make this year extraordinary? Are you going to make that commitment? Because I think one of the things going back to New Year's and everyone that likes to complain about New Year's or they say, oh, like screw building habits, screw reflecting, or New Year's is stupid. New Year's resolutions are stupid. You know what you need to do? You need to do this. Well, I mean, everyone has their own opinions, everyone has their own thoughts. The thing that I don't like about when people complain about this New Year resolution stuff is that it's a perfect opportunity for you to take a step back from your life holistically and become an observer and just kind of like see where you're at. Like just measure your life. How have you been doing this past decade? Like, look at the past 10 years of your life. Are you happy? If you are, fantastic. But like, over those 10 years, what's the best year you had? And identify what were the key habits that you did that year that made it the best year of your life. Why not take that same kind of energy? Why not take that same kind of mindset and that same kind of attitude and go into this new year to try to make it even better than that best year you ever had? So, whatever your best year ever was in your entire life, why not try to top it? Are you lazy? Are you afraid? Are you scared? Like, hey, I just literally opened the podcast by admitting my own fears and insecurities. So, like, own it if you are. And what is it that you have to do to really make this year an extraordinary year? Like, ask yourself, what would that look like? What would an extraordinary year look like for you? How would that feel like? To give you a little context for myself, like as I was reflecting on this and going into the new year, thinking about, okay, yeah, what would really be an extraordinary year for me? There are many answers that I had, and I kind of just like brain dumped a whole bunch of things, but just kind of going off the cuff, some of the things that I was saying was like, I want to feel so at peace with myself, so confident with myself, and so connected to my purpose and my mission in life and the path that I'm on that I just feel like so in rhythm and so in flow. And I feel like I'm really having one of those years of like harmony. You know what I mean? Like I'm just flowing. And the reason why I want that, because I feel like that's like the core of everything. If I can really get to that centeredness of my spirit, my mind, my emotions, my thoughts, my physical health, everything, if I can really get all of that to flourish, then I think the external world will manifest because I'm creating that internal world. I'm already a very happy, fulfilled person. I live a very purpose-driven life. I've been living my dreams ever since I decided to become a teacher. I love what I do, but there's always room for growth. There's always room for more fulfillment. And one of the things that for me to be even more extraordinary this year is to really get back in alignment with my purpose and my mission as a teacher and as a coach and just as a person. Because if you know me and you know my story, which I've mentioned before, I'll just briefly mention it here. Like, I've had a rough career. You know what I mean? Like, I have lost my job 8 times in the past 9 years. I don't care who you are. If you lose your job 8 times in 9 years, that's just physically, mentally, spiritually draining. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna make this the best year ever, and then you lose your job. And then like the new year comes around. I'm gonna make this the best year ever, and then you lose your job. You're like, okay, this year I'm gonna make this the best year ever, and then you lose your job. You know what I mean? Like 8 years out of nine. Basically, it was eight. It was almost 8 years in a row, but there's like this one break where I was consistent for 2 years. But and it wasn't because of like a horrible teacher or anything. Once again, this goes back into my story where I've talked about this before. It was just for like silly reasons, or it was because I took leave replacement positions. Like I took jobs that were like, hey, this is only a 1 year position. You know what I mean? So like there are many moments like that. The one time, like the worst thing that ever happened during my career was a parent complaining about me and literally going to the board of education. I remember sitting on the computer watching the live stream of the parent for like no reason really, just complaining about me, asking for them to like Michael Beresny shouldn't be a teacher at this school. And then the school district was like, okay. And then they let me go. And I literally did nothing wrong. I mean, they gave me a severance package. They gave me months pay because I was gonna fight it. I was like, this is ridiculous. You're gonna let me go because of one stupid parent. And they're like, well, yes. I was like, well, that's messed up. And I was pissed off. But I was like, "All right, I'll take a couple months of no work and I get full pay. Yeah, sure." And then that year I started a business with my best friend. And I was like, "All right, well, I guess I'll take this time to start a business. Why not? It's the perfect time. Like I don't have to work and I'm getting paid, so it gives me some financial freedom and I can try starting a business." But then I went back into teaching because I just missed it so much. But the point being is, no matter what kind of adversity you go through, and I've gone through a ton of adversity, I've always maintained a high level of passion for what I do, a high level of fulfillment and motivation, determination, perseverance, and persistence and commitment to my mission. And for me, this year in particular, I really want to get back in alignment with just letting go of like all judgments that I have on myself, kind of like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, right? Um, and just really get back in alignment, like, hey, this is what I do, and I love it. And I want to continue to lean into that more. I want to continue to inspire people to live their dreams. I want to continue to help other people believe in themselves, to master their own mindset, because your psychology, mastering your psychology is a lifelong journey. No one has a perfect psychology. No one does. So just continuing for myself to believe in myself even more, continuing to believe in my mission even more, continuing to go down the path. And I'm making great progress in my long-term vision. Like this year was an extraordinary year for me. Like I was a head coach of a high school track team. First time I ever took an opportunity like that, like huge growth opportunity for myself as a coach, as a leader, as a teacher. Learned so much, loved the kids that I worked with, loved everything about it. And I'm taking those skills into this next year where I have plenty of coaching opportunities right now. Like literally, I have meetings coming up this week about coaching opportunities and like a plethora of options. And something that I've wanted to do in my career for a long time is work with professional athletes and be a mindset coach for professional athletes. I'm not there yet, but like I'm taking kind of baby steps to eventually get there one day because I would love to do that at some point in my life. I'm not saying I want to make that like my full-time thing, but I'd love to have like one or two clients that are pro athletes and I just work with them the full season. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to work with like 100 people. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade, like they worked with Tim Grover, who was their mindset coach, and he would just work with like a small group of people. Anyway, like, I'm sharing some of these insights to give you insights. Like, I'm really reflecting on my year and on my life and my decade vision, my 3-year vision, my 1-year vision. So ask yourself, like, what will make this year extraordinary? And I didn't even go even deeper into all the feelings I want to feel. Like, beyond that, like, I want to like work on my relationships more, in terms of specifically with more of my friends and family. I want to improve those areas. I want to improve my financial health. I really want to take my business to the next level. This past year was the first year I had my own business. This was the first year. Like, I've been in business for 1 full year because I really started last year in January. So it's January right now. So I've been a coach, a life coach, high performance coach for 1 year. And, I made about $12,000 in 1 year, which it's not about the money, but it's like, hey, I kind of proved to myself that I can start a business and I can actually make money and I can help people. And like, that's awesome. And I want to take that to the next level. I want to help more people. I want to make a bigger impact and change more lives. So now it's like, okay, what's that next level for me? And for me, like, there's financial goals that I have. I have impact goals. I have influential goals. I have learning goals. A lot of my learning goals this year, because I've done so much personal development over the past decade, like tens of thousands of dollars of investing into my own personal development because I love it so much. Where now I've invested into like business coaching and business training. So like I'm part of a mastermind and I'm learning things like sales and how to get better at sales, how to get better at marketing, how to get better at messaging, all these different things, how to be a better CEO and run my business. And like, I still haven't fully stepped into that CEO mindset yet. And I think about that stuff and like, okay, this is the year when I'm going to take that next step and be in better alignment with all of my vision and all the skills that are necessary in order to make that vision come alive. You know what I mean? And living your dreams is all about living in the moment, living in the embracing the journey and continuing to focus on the process. But also, a big part of the journey is taking time to step away from the journey and look at it as if you're climbing a mountain and you kind of just chill and pause and you're looking out at the view. That's what you're doing right now in New Year's. That's why I love it. Take a look at your life. Take an honest assessment at your life and see where you're at. If you're happy, great. Get even happier. If you're not that happy, great. Get happy. No matter where you are, decide to make this year extraordinary. So that will probably be one of the longer ones out of these points because I kind of want to set the tone. Like, you really just got to make a decision. You have to commit. And it's just about whatever that is to you. Maybe you want to focus on your physical health. Maybe you want to focus on your nutrition. Maybe you want to focus on your money. Maybe you want to focus on your business. Maybe you want to focus on your relationships. You want to focus on learning goals, your career, your mission, your friends or family. Whatever life domain you pick, focus on making this year extraordinary. In these 12 habits, after like this one is kind of more of like a no, like, hey, like almost like a common sense kind of thing. But the next ones that I'll share with you, 1 through 12, like, these will be some high level, even though it may seem like common sense isn't always common practice, but these will be high level strategies that if you implement these, it will make your year extraordinary, guaranteed. I promise you. And I've implemented these in my own life, but I'm continuing to work on them. So number 2 is cultivate. I have a typo here. If you're watching, I'm also recording a video. If you're listening to podcasts, hop out on my YouTube channel, check out my YouTube videos. But it's the same thing. I'm just recording a screen. But cultivate a deeper passion for personal development. If you really want to take your life to the next level, have a deeper drive, a deeper passion, a deeper curiosity for personal development. Like, what skills do you need to learn? What skills do you need to acquire? What habits do you need to develop that will help you live an extraordinary life? Once again, I guess I'll continue to share some of my own insights just to make it personal and relatable, I guess. But for me, I have a lot of, like I said, I focused a lot on personal development over the years. But the thing that I love about high performance and high performance habits is that it goes hand in hand with professional development. So one of my big high performance habits that I want to focus on this year is courage. Demonstrate more courage. Like I did with the podcast. Like, dude, upload a podcast. If you suck, you suck. Just get better. Just get better. Don't worry about judging yourself. Don't worry about what other people think, even though that their feedback is going to be important for you. Like when people tell me they love my podcast, I'm always like, oh my God, I can't believe they love my podcast. But plenty of people do. And thank you so much. Seriously, thank you for the positive reinforcement to just boost my confidence and to know that, like, okay, I'm doing a decent job of providing value. But I'm also self aware enough to know that I can probably do a better job and I need to get better at that. And part of that is having the courage to be more consistent. I mean, one of the reasons why I didn't do the podcast on a regular basis was because it wasn't a top priority. Like I was looking for a new job, I was going for a career change. I had so many moving parts. I was starting my business. I didn't know exactly what direction I want to go with the podcast. Like I had so many other things going on. The podcast just wasn't a priority. And I tried building a consistent habit. It was just really hard. Like I was working on my blogging skills. So that was one of the skills last year I was working on. I was working, okay, let me like work on a newsletter. I was sending out a newsletter every week. I did 40, I think 46 or 48 weeks out of the year. I missed a couple weeks for some random reasons. Um, but overall, it's pretty consistent. I did it almost every week. So it's not like I don't have the ability to do it, but now I want to take it to that next level. And I want to cultivate a deeper passion for personal development myself, but I want to transition that into business for me personally. And and for me with the business, it's demonstrating courage. And courage is a habit. There are many things you can do, which is stuff that I talk about. And I'm going to do trainings on this. One of my goals for this year too is to really go over the 6 high performance habits and to help train you and teach you and coach you on what those habits are, because it's a lifelong process. Like you never just build a habit once. Like, okay, I built a habit of courage and now I'm courageous for the rest of my life. Like, no, you have to actively work on it. And I'll actually show you one of the bullet points how we kind of do that, which I think you'll find interesting. So, really take your own personal development more serious. There's whatever like stigma you have against it. It was like, oh, personal development, motivation, personal growth. Like, let go of that stuff. Like, the more self awareness you have, the happier you're going to be. It's just backed by so much research. It's undeniable. It's just undeniable. Like, if you make personal development a way of life, you're just going to live a better life. There's no reason why you shouldn't be reading more books on, like, if you don't want to call it self help, whatever, call it self improvement, call it psychology, call it personal development. Just have more passion for it and find the thing that you like. For me personally, I really like high performance and I also like positive psychology. There's many other things that you can do in personal development. You can really niche down. Maybe you're like purely fitness. Maybe you're purely relationship building and you're about like influence and leadership. Maybe you really like emotional intelligence. Maybe you like critical thinking and like you're really smart and you're intelligent and you're like into math and numbers and computer science and all this stuff. Okay, like learn more about critical thinking, creative thinking, innovation, invention, like imagination. Think more how you can like expand your mind. All right. So moving on to the next one. Number 3, take control of your energy. This is huge. And this is actually something I talked about today, literally with my students, my elementary students who I love so much. They bring so much joy into my life. And I always try to bring my energy and I try to bring a positive energy to the classroom. And we talked about this today during Mindset Monday. Take control of your energy. The power plant is one of my favorite quotes from my mentor, Brendan Michard, who actually wrote the book High Performance Habits and did the largest study on high performance, a 2-year study studying the highest performers in the world, CEOs, executives, billionaires, Olympian athletes, all this stuff. And they found they had these 6 habits in common. One of them was generating energy. And a quote that I love is that the power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. Now, from like a scientific perspective, I may not explain this perfectly, but basically, you take one source of energy, like water or wind, and you put it through these like wind turbines or whatever they're called, and it transforms that energy, like water or wind, it transforms a lower energy into a higher energy, like electricity. So a power plant literally generates energy. That's what it does. And you, as a human being, you do the same thing. You can take your energy and you can cultivate more positive emotions in your life. And for example, one of the habits you can do for this, I'll give you one right here, is bring the joy. So if you constantly tell yourself every single day, and I remind myself every day of this, and I don't always do a perfect job. I'm not walking around like rainbows and butterflies. I'm bringing joy, love everybody, right? Like, I mean, I try to be positive. I try to be real too. I'm not like, some fake positive person. I'm just being authentic. But like, I try to bring joy wherever I go as much as possible. I try to be, just present. And you maybe think, okay, well, how do you bring joy? Well, one, it's a habit and it's a decision to be like, I'm going to be loving and kind. I'm going to be non judgmental. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be curious. I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to love others unconditionally. I'm going to be happy, enthusiastic. I'm going to bring some sort of enthusiasm to the day. And when you do that, you're going to make your life extraordinary. And you are in charge of your energy. If you're listening to this and you're older than like 25-ish years old, because that's really kind of like when your brain, for the most part, stops developing, um, you're old enough to take control of your own thoughts and your emotions and your energy. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it does start with awareness. And if you feel like you have low energy, like maybe your mood kind of sucks, you haven't been vibing very well, you're just like kind of just going through the motions of life. You're not like feeling alive. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're alive, but you don't feel alive. You have the ability to generate that aliveness. And it starts with many habits like the awareness of taking control of your energy or the habit of bring the joy, bring joy to your day. And you can cultivate that, you can create that. And that's one of the high performance strategies. So I'm not going to go too in depth because I can go way further in depth with all of these. And I have to constantly remind myself right now in the moment to kind of keep it short and sweet because I just want to like give you a little bit of the juice for all of these. I don't want to ramble on too much. I just want to kind of give you some of my own insights and ideas. But no, hopefully, ideally, if you take one of these strategies after I go through all 12, after the podcast, you're like, okay, number seven really resonated with me. Like that's what I'm going to focus on more. Like great. The more you can implement, the better. But for myself, I have these like imprinted in my mind going into the new year, and I haven't printed it out yet, but I tend to do this a lot because I'm looking at my board over there. I tend to like print out all this stuff, but I'm going to print this out and I'm going to put it on a board. I'm going to print out the habits that I want to cultivate throughout the year. I'm going to print out my goals. Even though like I have a lot of my goals already set and stuff, and so they're always changing, but I'm going to put that out because I literally have the whole entire year my goals on the board on my wall. And I kind of look at that, it reminds me of some of my goals that I have and the things that I'm not achieving and what I need to do to achieve it, and also the things that I am achieving. Anyway, kind of getting off topic there, but let's go to number four. Number four, be an observer of your thoughts. This is like the foundation of what mindfulness is. And if you're a little unclear of what that means, like what does it mean to be an observer of your thoughts? It's like, okay, imagine I'll use the mountain metaphor and because I love it so much, but imagine you're climbing a mountain and you're a hiker. Now, step out of that, step out of yourself and like almost as if you're watching a movie and watch your life as if it's a movie. And you're sitting in your chair and you're just watching yourself climb a mountain. And ooh, excuse me, I had a little burp. Thought I'd get through this podcast without a burp. Did not happen. But you're watching yourself as an observer, as if you're watching your life as a movie. And how you can do this for your thoughts, and this is actually like a key foundational pillar of like what the journey mindset is by becoming an observer of your thoughts. And like I said, this is the foundation of what mindfulness is. It's what you can't be mindful if you're not aware. So everything starts with awareness. And you do that by becoming an observer. And you're just like, huh, I feel kind of awkward right now. Or, I feel like, for example, like when I was doing the podcast and I was aware of this, like, wow, I am really beating myself up right now. I am really struggling to do this intro, and every time I do it, I just stop and like that sucks. That's not what I wanted to say. It was so much better in my head, and I had to literally sit down and just relax, calm myself, center myself, and analyze all those thoughts. I'm like, man, you're overthinking this too much. I mean, there's a part of me where I just have high standards for myself. Like I want to do good. Seriously, because I want to change your life. I want to inspire people. I want to help people. And if I don't deliver a good podcast, I'm not going to change anybody's life. So I have to be good. I have to. If I'm not good, then I'm not helping anyone. So I get frustrated with myself. I'm like, damn, dude, like you gotta do better. You know what I mean? So like I'm observing those thoughts and you can and I feel the emotions. Like I sit with it and I get upset with myself and I feel the disappointment. I feel the frustration. I don't suppress it. I feel it, but I become an observer and I realize you are not your thoughts and you are not your emotions. Just because I'm having those thoughts doesn't mean they're true, right? Because I do know I help people. I've literally got a message from tons of people saying they love my podcast. Like I remember so many times where like just a random person I know, like an old friend from high school, or just like literally someone I haven't seen in like 7 years or something, and I just like knew them from college, or just like a random meetup event or something. We just stayed connected on social media. Haven't talked to them in like years, and I bump into them and like, dude, I love your podcast. I'm like, I haven't seen you like anything on social media of mine. Like I don't because I check when people like my stuff. I see who's engaging, and like you've been one of those quiet followers. And he's like, yeah, I listen to all your podcasts. I'm like, damn, dude. Like if you're listening right now, what's up? You know what I mean? And but like see, like there are people I help, yet I have these limiting beliefs or these negative thoughts that sometimes hold me back. And because I'm hard on myself. But when you become an observer, it makes it much easier to let go of those judgments that you have, because that's ultimately what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is the awareness of your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your actions, your behaviors without judgment. You're becoming aware, but you're not judging yourself. So the more you practice this, the easier it is to let go of these self doubts that we have and these judgments that we have about ourselves. Because we all have it, right? Like you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to gain weight because you're skinny like a stick and you want to gain muscles, or maybe you're overweight and you want to lose weight and you beat yourself up. Like stop that. Let yourself go. Let that go. And I'm not coming from a place where like I'm perfect. I literally just told you I still work on this. Mindfulness is a way of life. It's a practice. But when you develop the habit, you get better at realizing, oh, man, I'm beating myself up again. Let's get rid of that. Let's stop these thoughts. You can stop the negative patterns and you can redirect it into a more positive habit. So here I am recording this podcast, even though I had a little glitch. And we're like, I would have finished it yesterday, but this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, like I really was working very hard. I had so much work to do. And like the new school, like I was on break from school. So like we started school today and I just had a lot of things to do. Right. And it was like 9 o'clock at night when I went to record the podcast. And I was like, and after struggling for a little while, I was like, dude, I need a break. Like I'm gonna go into bed. I'll record it tomorrow. Don't beat yourself up. I know you want to release it Monday morning, but you're trying your best, and I applaud you for that, Mike. Like seriously, I'm proud of your efforts. I'm right here, right now. I didn't give up. I still did the podcast, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not the way I envisioned it. I'm here, and I showed up. And when you become an observer of your thoughts, it allows you to be more courageous. It allows you to be more confident and it allows you too to one of my earlier points, it allows you to be in better alignment with who you really are. Like who are you really? Your true self. It's a very deep question, and that's a whole nother conversation, which is something that we all need training on. Like I've gotten a lot of training on like the concept of self, and it's something that it's one of the reasons why I feel like people resonate with me a lot. It's because I've learned over the years how to continue to just be authentic, how to just kind of be myself without that fear of judgment. Even though we still have it, the you just get better at kind of being yourself without worrying what other people think. So hopefully that one helps. I think that's a really powerful one. Be an observer of your thoughts. I like to use the mountain metaphor, and I like to kind of whenever I'm like struggling with something. For example, when I was thinking about this, I would think about the podcast and I think about the journey. It's like, okay, Mike, this is something that really does help me, and I hope it helps you. Where I think about the long term vision. I'm like, okay, you're kind of struggling with the podcast. It's the first one you're doing in a while. Give yourself a break. If you're really going to commit to doing one episode a week, like you can't give up. Like you have to do this, no matter how bad it is, no matter how hard it is. You gotta like you're sitting down talking into a microphone. Don't make this harder than it has to be, bro. Like just do it. You know what I mean? And I'll have to think about the journey, I'd think about, okay, what's your goal? Well, the goal is to do something I love. I love to teach. I love to coach. I love to share knowledge and wisdom and insights. I love doing podcasts. I do. So why am I making it so hard on myself? And I'll just have to coach myself through this process. And I like to use the mountain metaphor. And it's not something that like I'm not walking around 24/7 like life is a journey. Like I mean, I kind of am, but but at the same time, like it's not constant, but that's what mindfulness living to me really is, and that's one of the courses I'm kind of working on right now, which is mindful living, where I teach you what mindfulness is. I go over the science-based practices, and I teach the journey mindset. I think that's a big pillar of what I want Mindset University to be about. I want that to be one of like my main pillar courses, the journey mindset, and it goes into like unlimited motivation and things of that nature. Anyway, rambling on. Let's move on to the next one. Transition here. Number 5. Be intentional and make better decisions. Be intentional and make better decisions. Now, you may be thinking, well, duh, like I would love to make better decisions, or like, how is this a high performance strategy? Well, a couple of reasons. One, you're at where you're at in life because of the decisions you've made. Like, I can look at myself where I'm at in my life and I can be like, yeah, I'm definitely here because I made some really bad decisions in my life. Like, I made so many bad decisions, people. Once again, I mean, I'll just make this a pretty vulnerable podcast. Why not? I've shared this plenty of times. But one of my bigger, I guess, I'm gonna say insecurities, but it's one of the things I'm like sometimes embarrassed to talk about because people judge me, yet they don't realize. And like my friends literally still label me with this. Like I have a group chat and like they still joke about it, even if they're just joking. Like I know they still like see this in me. But I lost all of my money gambling twice in my life, like all of my money, all my savings, everything in my bank account, just zero. And I even took out a loan at one point, borrowed money from my friend, lost all my money, and paid him back. Had to pick up a second job. Was like literally teaching and sleeping out of my car, working a second job. Like once again, when I've said like I've been through adversity, I'm not like saying, well, my life has been so hard, but like I've gone through like some really dark moments of my life, and I've always maintained a positive attitude. I've always been very resilient. It's actually one of the things I'm most proud of out of like if you were to like say Mike, what's like the one thing you're really proud of in life? And like if it has to be like with me personally, not like the impact I've made, but like with me as a human, I'll be like, I'm really proud of my resilience and my ability to bounce back because the amount of failures I've had in life is just constant. I just keep failing and failing and failing. But because I've developed a learning mindset and because I've developed so much resilience and I have so much purpose and I'm so tied to my mission of making a positive impact, I'm willing to take big risk. Like the reason why I lost all my money was because I was trying to start a charity foundation for kids to give them scholarships to go to the school. Like that's literally like I literally wrote out a business plan saying I'm going to build a scholarship fund for kids and I'm really good at counting cards and I've already made thousands and thousands of dollars doing it because I really was. Like I won probably at least 90% of the time. Like anytime I go into the casino, I basically win anytime. But I just had these two moments where I lost control and I lost everything and I couldn't stop myself. And those like two moments were like really bad, but like the 1,000 other times I went, I always won. You know what I mean? I just ended up losing everything in the end. So it didn't really mean anything. But the point being is I had really good intentions behind it. So number 5, be intentional and make better decisions. I had good intentions and I made decent decisions, but I probably could have made better decisions. Like when I was losing that one game, or like for example, when I made $20,000 in San Diego, I probably should have walked away. You know what I mean? Like I set my intentions. I told my friend, I was like, dude, Mark, I'm going into the casino. I'm making $10,000. He's like, okay, buddy. I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. He's like, okay, whatever. And then I made $10,000, and I went. I remember walking over to him. I was like, dude, guess what? He's like, you lost all your money? I was like, no, I made $10,000. He's like, no way. I was like, yes way. I was like, yeah, let's go. And we were all like pumped and hyped. And it was awesome. And then I was like, yo, let's go upstairs and get like a massage. So like we went upstairs to get a massage, but we had to book an appointment. So I'm like, okay, like we got to wait an hour. So we went back down, start gambling a little bit more. Well, like he did. And I was like, I think I'm going to go play a little bit more. He's like, dude, don't lose all your money. I was like, dude, I'm not going to lose my money. Because I had exactly $10,000 or I had exactly $10,500 So I took that $500 I had. I was like, let's see if I can take that 500 and make another $10,000. I was so pumped. So I went back to the tables, took that 500, started making more money. I was getting I made a couple hundred, and then I started making a couple thousand. Then I was like, okay, I'm just playing with like play money right here. You know what I mean? Because my intention was if I lose the 500 I started with and I get to 10,000, walk away. Walk away. If you do not go under 10 grand, walk away at 10 grand. So I'm taking the 500, I'm making more money. Then I was getting like big, where I was doing like $2,000 hands, $2,000 hands. I was like doing all these big hands. I got up to $20,000. And I've never like seen this much cash in my life or like had this much money in front of me ever before. I was like, oh my God, I'm rich. I was so pumped, so excited. I literally just turned 21 too. It was like a couple months after I turned 21. And um and so I ended up like just making stupid decisions where I'm doing like $3,000 hands, and I'm like just and even though like those were the hands that made me win, I wasn't being smart. I was just being like stupid. I ended up losing that extra 10,000 that I made. So I'm around like 10,500 again, kind of where I started. And I was doing one more hand, and I got pocket aces, or I get ace ace. Whenever you get ace ace, you have to split, right? I mean, like you're not gonna not split two aces. It's the best thing you can do. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna split this, but I needed to tap back into my original $10,000. So I was like, oh, I can't do that, but I have to split. Okay, let me just do it once. So I split it, and I think it was actually a $500 hand. So I think I did $500 hand. I had to tap back into the 10,000, take another 500, and then I ended up losing. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm at 9,500. I can't walk away with it. I got to get back to the 10,000. I want that 10,000 mark. It's clean, it's smooth. That's where I was at. Long story short, like 20 minutes later, lost everything. And I won't get into the whole story of me like freaking out and like making a fool of myself and like crying and hysterically and just, oh man, I'm such an idiot. But yeah, I mean, just make better decisions in life, and you are where you are in life because of your decisions. I'm not where I'm at financially in my life where I have like millions of dollars, probably because I made some really bad financial decisions. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to go on and on about all this, but the point being is when you when you become an observer, going back to your last point, or my last point of being an observer of your thoughts, when you get better at mindfulness, you end up making better decisions. Now I'm at a point in my life where I am very strategic in my decision making. I'm very long term in my thinking. So when I make an investment, for example, into my business, where like I invest like $10,000 into my training and my certification and my coaching program to like become the best high performance coach I can be, like that $10,000 is going to last me a lifetime. So I don't, even though it may not have been the best financial decision in the moment, it was a smart decision for myself. And you have to be intentional about that. And you have to really ask yourself, okay, what are the pros and cons here of whatever it is? Like, should I really be eating that cookie right now? Like, I'm trying to lose weight. Why am I eating that cookie? Or should I really be on my phone at like 11:30 at night scrolling through Instagram as I'm falling asleep? Or should I really be putting my phone away like 2 hours before I go to bed? Right? Like whatever the bad habits you have, like or like you have these negative coping habits, or whenever you feel or like you stressed and burnt out, or whatever it is that you're dealing with, you know what it is. You got something. Like you can learn how to make better decisions by practicing mindfulness. Okay. So hopefully that one helped with you, or helped in any shape or form. Number six, let's move along here. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'm doing all right on time. I got to speed this up though. Not that I want to rush through it. I just want to be concise because, like I said, I can go. I have so many stories to share. I have so many ideas and other insights I want to share, but I'll save that for another day. Number six, habits are a deliberate practice, not unconscious behaviors. This is one of the biggest myths in personal development, where people think that all behaviors are just unconscious and it's like from the subconscious mind. Like, if I do hypnosis, I will develop ultimate confidence in life. And they think all these stupid things that aren't actually true and they're not backed by research or science. So, for example, just okay, well, let me rephrase this or say it again. Habits are a deliberate practice, not unconscious behaviors. So your habits are a deliberate practice. You consciously make a decision in your head. You decide, I am going to make this a habit. And you actively practice it. Your habits are a practice. Like you, for example, demonstrating courage is not some subconscious belief that you have. No, you actively have to do it all the time. You taking control of your energy, you actively have to practice that on a daily basis. Daily, multiple times throughout the day. It's not some unconscious behavior. I like a lot of people believe it. Now, I'm not saying like you don't have unconscious behaviors. I'm not saying like you don't like, oh, Mike, I don't really think about breathing. Yeah, okay, I get that. But I'm not saying it's totally 100% false. But once again, habits are a deliberate practice. Breathing, like that's kind of like an extreme thing. But even like you think about meditation, you think about high quality breathing. Like if you're stressed out and you're like, just need to take a breath right now. Like that was deliberate, right? That wasn't really an unconscious behavior. You may have patterns, and we'll talk about this later. It kind of does connect into this. It maybe become second nature, which is different. When you develop habits, they will become second nature, but it's not necessarily unconscious. And let me give a better example here with confidence. And this is, I think, maybe a good one where people will think, and you can go on YouTube and you can like find these like YouTube or like hypnosis for ultimate confidence, subconscious subliminal messages to release limiting beliefs. Now, I listen to these because I kind of just enjoy the background music, and I don't know if it like really works or not. Like I've dug into the research to see if it works or not. There's not a lot of research out there. There's really not. But for me, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, can't hurt. It can't hurt to like listen to some like, subliminal messages where they're saying, believe in yourself, right? Like it can't hurt. So I might as well do it. But I don't put too much stock into it. You know what I mean? But if, let's say, you're socially awkward, you have weird social skills, you're not that confident in front of other people, or you have social anxiety, right? Let's just use that as an example. Whether you have that or not, let's just pretend you do. And if you see some therapist where they do like hypnosis on you, like you have the ultimate confidence socially ever, and like whatever their hypnosis thing is, and they do it, you're not gonna walk out of there and be like, yeah, I'm super charismatic and confident and charming. It's not just gonna happen like magic. You're going to have to actually work towards it. Charisma is is a skill. Like you have to practice it. Like if you're charismatic, and one of the reasons why I know I'm charismatic, one, because I've been told that many times, two, I'm just self-aware enough to know that I am, and three, I deliberately practice how to be more charismatic. And part of being charismatic is being warm, is being kind-hearted. It's about being present in the moment. It's about really having the empathy and the compassion for others and really connecting with them. Like that's why when I work with my coaching clients, like they tend to like me because, well, one, as a coach, my job is to like it's all about you, right? And they tend to like me because I am myself. And part of who I am is a charming guy. I'm not saying I'm the most charming human being in the world, but like I know how to just be myself, and being yourself is charismatic. You know what I mean? And I do really genuinely care about other people. I love people, especially my clients. The fact that they're raising their hand like, "Hey Mike, I would love to work with you so we can kind of work on taking my life to the next level." I'm so grateful for their business, and I'm so like inspired by the fact that they raised their hand to be like, yeah, like I would like to kind of get some coaching. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Let's do it. Let's go. And I love that so much that I want to give them my full attention, and I want to show them how much I care about them. And because they know that and they feel that, and it's because it's real and genuine, like it makes me more of a likable person. So whatever that is for you, right? Your habits are a deliberate practice. You want to build better relationships, practice building better relationships. You want to be, you want to have a better fitness routine, a workout routine, a better healthy diet. You want to have better. I'm trying to think here. I'm kind of losing my like better, I don't know, anything, better fitness. We'll just stick with that. You got to practice those routines. Or like, here's a good one. You want to have more positive self-talk. Maybe you tend to kind of beat yourself up, right? It's a practice to practice positive self-talk and to practice mindfulness by becoming an observer of your thoughts. You want to have more energy in your life? I might as well just go back to these points, right? That's a habit. Taking control of your energy, bringing joy, that's a habit. It's a deliberate practice. So hopefully I made my point clear. All right. Number 7. Oh, if you're watching my video, I didn't do any animation for these, so they're all showing you. Oh well, whatever. Surprise, here they are. So if you're on the podcast, it'll still be a surprise. So number 7, consistency creates a second nature of goodness. I'm not going to go too in depth because I just talked about habits. And like I said, it's kind of like a flow, right? We just talked about how with the last one, habits are deliberate practice, not unconscious behaviors. Well, consistency, which means you're continuously building that same habit and practicing it, that creates a second nature of goodness. So, whatever positive habits you're trying to develop in your life, let's just say it's you want to eat healthier, you want to exercise more. Well, you're going to have a lot of positive results as a result, right? And it just creates this second nature of goodness. You're going to feel better. The people around you are going to start eating healthier. They're going to start taking their own health more serious. Let's say you start taking control of your energy. You start bringing more joy into the day. You start bringing more enthusiasm and zest for life. If that's consistent, is going to create a second nature of goodness. So if you want to live an extraordinary life where you feel more alive, you have a greater sense of purpose and meaning and joy and fulfillment and happiness and success and adventure and excitement and love and confidence and peace, consistency will create that. Got to be consistent. And for myself, one of the things that I feel like I've been good at is these mindset habits. I've been pretty consistent with them, but I haven't always been consistent with like social media, for example. Some of the like the external stuff, I feel like I've done really good on the internal game, but it's like the external game I haven't as much. But I guess maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Like for example, like working out, like I guess you can say that's an external game, but a lot of that has to go with your identity. How do you identify yourself? Anyway, don't want to get off topic and start talking about like business or anything. So, number 8, free yourself from social pressure and self doubt. We talked about this a little bit before, and it's a big one. If there's, I don't know, maybe one thing that you take away from this podcast, this may be one of the big ones, but give yourself permission to kind of just let go of what other people think. Like where you have to be in life, or you have to compare yourself and the expectations that, hey, you're like, I don't know, 25 and you should have your life all figured out, or you're 40 years old and you should be, ooh, excuse me, I was holding in a burp and it just came out. So I was kind of talking funny too. But let go of like the expectations of society, like, oh, you're 40 years old, like you should be here in life. Now I got the hiccups. Dang, I need to take a drink of water. Woo! Podcast struggles. So anyway, just like let go of all the social pressure that people put on you. And I know people deal with this. They do. Like people tell me, they message me. I have a lot of conversations with people. I'm also just smart enough to know that a lot of people deal with this, right? Let go. Like social media literally drains this into your brain subconsciously. Like we want to talk about subconscious stuff. It is wiring your brain to subconsciously just like identify, like you see people post things on social media where their life is so amazing, but behind the scenes it's not. Like I know tons of people that do this, and it's not like a judging thing. And that's one of the things too why I've actually been criticized for this too. And I'm like, whoa, I mean, I've openly shared plenty of times my insecurities online. I mean, even in this podcast, I started off the podcast by saying how much I was beating myself up, right? So like I'm not shy to share my own insecurities or my own self-doubt. But like people have criticized me in the past, like, you never share your own struggles. Like, what are you talking about? And I share my struggles plenty of times. Anywho, the point being is let go of that. I was like, okay, that person thinks this about me. Whatever. Free yourself. Let yourself go from those judgments. You don't need that from other people. You have enough to worry about. You know what I mean? And let go of the self doubt. And like I said, I'm working on this myself too, but it's a practice. It's a high performance strategy. It's a habit. You have to continue to let the self doubt go. Catch yourself when you're in it. Be like, "Oh, I'm feeling some self doubt," and let it go. Move on from it. Understand you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. Where do I'm not, I don't want to go down this path, but like, where do thoughts even come from? We don't know. We really don't know. So when you have these stupid thoughts in your head, they're not real. Someone put them in you at a young age or at whatever age, and they stuck with you, and you developed a bad habit, and you have this cycle on repeat, this mental routine going on. When you come across self doubt, just be aware of it. Be like, oh, I'm doubting myself right now. Come on, Mike. Don't doubt yourself. And this is when self coaching becomes really powerful. One, this is where coaching becomes powerful too, because, like, for example, if I work with you one on one, I can catch you when you have these patterns of self doubt, and then I can help redirect you and hold you accountable to help you develop better patterns. It's one of the best things about working with a coach. And one of the reasons selling life coaching is hard because it's not always measurable. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many people, side note, how many people are just always talking about like they're business coaches. And I love them. And by the way, I've hired these business coaches and I'm talking about, we're like, we will get you to $10,000 a month. We will get you to $50,000 a month. We will get you to $100,000 a month, this and that. And I'm not saying like they don't or that they can't, but it's this it's like it's hard to sell an idea about like, hey, I will help you let go of these limiting beliefs that you have about yourself because it's not as measurable versus like a business coach is like, hey, listen, I can help you get like $10,000. You want me to sign up? Yes or no? Like, do you want to make more money? I'll help you make more money. Here's my proof. It's like, okay, that's like an easy sell, right? And a lot of people, like my business coaches, they tell me this all the time. It's like, yeah, selling life coaching is really hard. You got to have it like a more measurable way, and you just got to like get really good at what you do in terms of like, putting your message out there and like sales and like communicating and messaging and marketing. Like, you got to dominate that space because life coaching is a hard sell. I'm not saying people don't buy life coaching. Plenty of people do. Like, I have clients. So I'm just saying it's like it's a harder thing. Anyway, that's the benefit of having a coach. It helps you eliminate that self doubt. So, I mean, whether you work with me or not, I don't really care, but like, find someone in your life that can help you identify those patterns and help you eliminate them. And I can tell you from experience, as also just from research, friends really aren't the best. Yeah, it's nice to like talk to your friends about this stuff, but they don't really care about like helping you eliminate. They don't really care that much about helping you eliminate like your self doubt. You know what I mean? Like, they may like pump you up for a moment, but they're not like professionally trained where they do it. Anyway, number 9, better mental health leads to more aliveness. Better mental health leads to more aliveness. You want to feel more alive this year? You want to experience more joy, more fun, more adventure, more excitement, more presence, more peace, more calm, more fulfillment, just more aliveness. You want to be energized. Better mental health leads to that. We talked about cultivating a passion for personal development. Use that for your mental health. Okay? I can feel my voice starting to go. This is the struggle of not doing a podcast for long form. But it's just weird. Like, I teach all day. Like, I talk all day. Actually, that's not true. I'm not like I'm not talking for like an hour straight. It's back and forth. Um, Anywho, but and I'm also recovering from my sickness that I had. I don't know if any of you were following me on social media when I was really sick, but I had bronchitis and I basically died for a while. I felt miserable. My throat was really bad too for a while. I couldn't even swallow. But anyway, we're good. We're back now. But getting back to this point, I'm going to move on, transition, because I kind of talked about this. But when you develop a passion, a deep passion for personal development, apply that to your mental health. I'll give you a quick example where, when you can see someone at the gym and they're all jacked and they got six-pack abs and they look sexy, and you can just physically see, yeah, they have some pretty good physical health. It's much harder to see that with your mental health. Now, it's very easy to identify. and depends like how socially aware you are. Like for me, it's very easy for me to kind of identify like people's kind of like mental health. You can't completely judge it, but there are like some basic pillars that you can kind of use to measure like negative self-talk or like whatever. Like, and once again, we may all have that, but it's like how consistent and just like their attitude, their energy. You can just feel, right? Like you can feel when someone has like low mental health, but just the way you can see physically when someone has good physical health. And it's harder to see the mental side of things, but treat your mental health just as much as you would your physical health. And that's something that you really should value. If there's a a theme of going into the new year, I would say make this the best year ever for your overall health. I'm talking mental health, physical health, spiritual health, emotional health. Like if you really want to feel more alive, like let's just say you're a high performer, you're very successful, like things in life are great. Why not just improve all of the health areas, even financial health, right? Like make more money. um if it's like spirituality, like let's say either if you're religious or you're not religious, wherever you are on that spectrum, like a good way, without any like any kind of with taking the spectrum away and just being neutral, a good way to really tap into your spirituality is teaching, is being a mentor. Like you have such a greater sense of purpose when you help others. So if you are really successful, like help other people be successful too. You know what I mean? Like coach other people, mentor other people, go into your community, teach a class, just like teach your knowledge. Like you all have a gift. We all have something we're good at. Like one of the things, like I see so many people, they're just, they're very successful and they kind of hit a plateau in life. And for me, it's very obvious as to like what they could do next, but I can't like enforce it on them. I can't be like, hey, you need to do this, right? It has to be right for them. And like my own thing, I'm trying to like learn how can I better guide people down this path. But what that path is teaching others. It's that highest level of mastery. When you really get like when you really understand a topic, you know how to teach it, right? You can read all the books, but if you don't actually if you don't live it and you don't practice it, you don't have that experience. The reason why I can talk about a lot of these things is because I live it and I experience it. And for me, I'm always trying to get better at teaching. I'm always trying to get better. How can I communicate this stuff? Um, and how can I get better at that? But if you're looking for more like better health overall, better mental health, a good way in terms of the spirituality health would be teaching. But if you really want to feel more alive, focus on your mental health. Small couple quick tips, small things, taking control of your energy. We talked about that. Do that. Meditating. I've talked about this before, but take a lot of mental breaks like consistently throughout the day. Like every hour, just take a break. Take a brain break, get up from your desk, walk around, stretch, drink some water, eat a little healthy snack, move around like consistently. Even if you're in a deep flow state, you're like, I'm crushing it right now. Okay, there may be moments where you want to grind out like 3 hours. I don't want to say grind out, like you're enjoying the work, whatever it is. Like you're in some deep work flow state. But if you want to maintain long term energy, long term mental stamina, long term mental energy, long term aliveness, take breaks more often and be strategic. All right, let's wrap up these last three here. Number 10. Oh man, this is like one of my favorites. So I can go on. I can do an entire course on this one. I love this one. Honor the struggle and embrace the journey. It's literally like my life story. If you go back to like all the things I talked about earlier on this podcast, all the struggles that I've gone through, and I know you've gone through struggles too. We all go through struggle, every single one of us. My struggle may be different than yours, right? We all experience different struggles, but we all have them. We all face adversity. And just understand, like, you have to wrap your head around this. You have to just 100% believe it. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, in your journey of life, you're going to face adversity. Even if you're cruising right now, you're flourishing, everything in life is good, like, you're going to have struggles. And that's true. Like, I don't know why this kind of just like popped up. I guess because I'm thinking one of my best friends, and he's super successful, super happy. He's a doctor. I don't know if you're listening to this, sup, Chris, but like he's like everything in life is like really good, right? And and he just had a new kid, but he went through like a really scary time where like his wife and his kid, like they almost died. I don't even feel like comfortable talking about it. I don't know if like I should, but like I'm just like he went through a really scary moment. You know what I mean? And that's hard. Like no matter how good your life is, you never know when something crazy might happen. You know what I mean? Like you never know when someone in your family may pass away. You never know when you might lose a friend or a colleague, or you never know when like you have a successful business and then out of nowhere, bam, it just completely fails and crashes and now you're out of business and like because the economy changed or COVID or something happened where you couldn't adjust. Or like there's just some or you get physically hurt, right? Like everything's good, you're playing like for me, I was going back to honoring the struggle. I have dislocated my shoulder 5 times in like 5 years in a row. It was like shoulder popped out, had to go to rehab, physical therapy for like months, 6 months, 8 months, worked on my body and all this stuff. Had to overcome that challenge. And then a couple months later, boom, it pops out again. Go through that whole process. Getting surgery. Like this it was 5 years of my like massive injuries. Big impactful injuries. Like just consistent and like on top of losing my job or like losing all my money and then dislocating my shoulder and being in a sling. It's like just like and then like losing a relationship and breaking up with a girlfriend. It's like, oh my God, just thing after a thing after a thing after a thing, like just constantly struggle. Honor that. Know that no matter where you are in your life, you're going to have struggle at some point. And that's not to say that like there weren't like amazing blessings on the other side of those things. I remember when I came out of my surgery and I went through rehab and I ended up like, for example, running the New York City Marathon and getting a new job and finding a new relationship and like all these different things, like all these good things that were happening in my life. I went through a moment where like I was crushing it. I felt like things were great. But then out of nowhere, bam, something happened and there's a struggle. So the reason why I bring that up, like whether you're going through that struggle right now or whether you feel like you're in a really good place, you're really happy, you're really successful, you feel great. There's going to be struggle in your life. I know you know that. So when you're faced with that struggle, honor it. Embrace the journey. Understand that the journey itself is going to have those down moments. My last little tip here that I'll leave you with, because once again, I can go so much further in depth with this stuff because I love it. But one of the metaphors I like to use is the hurricane metaphor. So imagine you're an eagle. And I don't know if you know anything about eagles. And I've done training on this, and I'll probably do a whole podcast in itself on this training because it's a big mindfulness component. But I'm going to give you the short, brief version of it without the details. But imagine you're an eagle. Eagles, if you don't know much about them, they're one of the they're the bird that can fly the highest elevation, so they can fly higher than any bird, and they're very strong, and they like to fly into the winds of a hurricane. But because they can fly so high, they can rise above the storm. They can literally fly above the hurricane. So that's an idea for mindfulness in your life when things are chaotic, when you feel like there's a hurricane going on, there's all this struggle, this chaos, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, burnout, struggle. If you become an observer of your thoughts, like an eagle, kind of step away from the chaos and you kind of just observe it. It really helps keep you centered and grounded, and it helps you take back control of your life. Okay, I'm going through a struggle right now, but what can I control? I can't control the fact that my arm just popped out of its socket and now I'm going to be going through surgery and I'm going to be this way for like the next 6 to 8 months. I can't control that. But what I can control is my attitude. What I can control is the effort I put back into my rehab. Even though rehab sucks, physical therapy sucks. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with excellence. I'm going to do it with pride. I'm going to do it with a high level of energy and effort. If you can learn how to do this, I promise you, your life will be so much better. You will live an extraordinary life, no matter because the highs, they're going to be great, but the lows, they're not going to be as low as you think they are because you're going to learn how to honor that struggle and embrace the journey. So when you do hit those low moments, you're going to be resilient and you're going to be able to bounce back because you're able to persevere and stay persistent through all of that and use your tenacity to navigate those rough waters. So hopefully you found that one inspirational. I think that one to me is one of my favorite ones, honestly, because it's what the journey is all about. All right, number 11. My voice is dying here, so I'm going to cruise through these last two ones, even though I said that about the other ones. Number 11, be honest with yourself and do what's right for you. Ah, gosh, I love these. Are you loving these? Hopefully you are, because I'm finding these so good. Like I said, this is for me too. You know what I mean? I'm on this journey with you. I'm just here sharing my own insights with you, my own ideas and strategies of high performance that can help you live an extraordinary life through my own learnings, my own education, my own training, my own experience, my own way of living. And I hope you find it inspirational and helpful as well. And this one's a big one. Be honest with yourself and do what's right for you. You got to get real with yourself. Like, stop lying to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. And by the way, a lot of people have a hard time doing that. I don't know if you do or not. Um, I don't. And I don't say like I don't say that to brag in any way. I was just kind of saying like I know what it's like to feel weird looking at yourself, but um I do think it goes back to like, the being authentic, being yourself, being genuine, charismatic, things of that nature, being confident. Like when you're honest with yourself, you just feel so much better. Like you're not hiding anything. You know what I mean? Like you don't feel like you're fake. You don't feel like you have anything to hide. You just be yourself. And when you're honest with your true self and you're like, you know what? I know I have a flaw. I know I have an insecurity. I know I have a weakness. I know I have an obstacle I need to overcome. When you can be honest with yourself with that stuff, man, it gives you so much more confidence in doing what's right for you. Because everybody will always tell you what's best for you. Like, trust me, a lot of people have told me like what to do with my business or how to run my business, and trust me, I can definitely use some coaching and guidance with my business, which is why I hired a coach. But they also, even with like my own coaches, they don't understand my long term thinking, even when I try to explain it. They're still sometimes like very short minded and like what I should do. But like I'm trying to build an entire school system. I'm not going to get into the whole thing here. Like if you want to know more about that, I do have in my online course, Advanced Goal Achievement. I kind of talk about that there, and I've talked about it in some blog posts and stuff, and on social media. But I'm probably talking about it more, and I should, as like a CEO and a leader. You should be sharing your vision. But basically, my mission, in a nutshell, which is kind of like the terminology has changed a little bit, but it's to really put personal development as a standard for education. Like, let's make personal development, personal growth, a standard in education because it's not. It's not being taught in schools. So a lot of people will like kind of tell me how to navigate waters with this stuff, but I'm like, yeah, but I know what I'm doing, and I don't say that arrogantly, but from a long-term thinking perspective, like, when you're trying to build kinda like a franchise model and, like, intellectual property that goes way beyond just, like, selling a simple online course, it's there's much more strategic thinking that goes into it, and like I said, I'm not saying I know everything about business, but I know what's right for me. And sometimes other people will try to tell you, no, this is what you should do. But it's like, my intuition is telling me I should do something else. And if I'm wrong, I'd rather die on my own sword than on somebody else's. Right? Like, wouldn't you rather be wrong knowing you did it your way than being wrong knowing you did it someone else's way? Like, if it comes to being right, I'd rather be right no matter what. But if like you're left with two decisions and it's not a guarantee which one's right, it's like, well, this person could be right or you could be right. It's a 50-50. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go with myself because I'd rather be wrong knowing I trusted myself than trusted someone else. And you can only do that when you're really honest with yourself. And it kind of goes back to like freeing yourself from social pressures, right? Oftentimes people will say like, like these expectations they have of you, which make you make decisions that aren't the best decisions, and it's not right for you. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. I could probably do a better job of like explaining that and share other stories and stuff, but I won't do that. And then I'll end on this one: strive for excellence and do your best. Yes, it may sound okay, woo woo, strive for excellence, do your best, but seriously, think about that for a moment and get honest with yourself. Are you really putting in your best effort in all areas of life? Your relationships, your career, your mental health, your physical health, your spirituality, your contribution, your adventure, your fun, hobbies, your finances. Are you really striving for excellence? Once again, it goes back to this podcast itself. If you want to get meta and big picture thinking, did I have some insecurities going into this? Yeah. Some self doubts? Yeah. Some perfectionism? Yep. But at the end of the day, you just have to strive for excellence. And half of that's just showing up. Probably more than half of that. It's like 90% is just showing up and doing your best. I made my best effort to do the best on this podcast. Was it the best one ever? No, probably not. But hopefully, if I continue to be consistent and I continue to practice and I continue to put in the work to get better and better and better over time, you'll become great. And I wish that for yourself too. And I hope you have an extraordinary life. I hope you have an extraordinary year. And you do that by striving for excellence and showing up every day as your best self, attempting to do your best in all that you do. And I hope that resonated with you. Just to go through these 12 real quick, rapid fire. Number one, decide to make this year extraordinary. Cultivate a deeper passion for personal development. Take control of your energy. Be an observer of your thoughts. Be intentional and make better decisions. Habits are a deliberate practice, not unconscious behaviors. Consistency creates a second nature of goodness. Free yourself from social pressure and self doubt. Better mental health leads to more aliveness. Honor the struggle and embrace the journey. Be honest with yourself and do what's right for you. Strive for excellence and do your best. That is the Mindset Monday podcast. That is the first episode in the new year, kicking off the new year 2022 with a bang, hopefully. Dropping some fire here. 12 high performance strategies and ideas to live an extraordinary life for 2022. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. It really does mean a lot to me. Feel free to share the podcast on social media. If you're not watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like the button, push a like, leave a comment below. Even though there's like 10 people that will probably watch this, shout out to those 10 people. Every single person matters. Numbers, let go of that social pressure, right? If you're listening to this and you enjoyed it and you made it all the way to the end, you deserve a cookie or something because I congratulate you and honor you for being here and taking your personal development serious. So, with that being said, I will see you next week in next week's episode. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your support. Have a great day. Go out there every day and strive for excellence. Maximize your potential. Make a positive impact in the world and go live your dreams. Thank you for listening. You know who it is. It's Mikey B, Mr. B, Michael B. I don't even know what my name is. All right, I'm being weird. Goodbye, everyone. Peace.